Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss. Are you a recent college graduate or a talented person who is ready to take the next step in your career? Or maybe you've been working for a while and aren't happy with how things are going. In either case, you've probably run into some problems that you'd like to solve. Why not get some advice from the world's top performers, the people who have already established themselves as leaders in their fields? Tim Ferriss, the author of Tribe of Mentors and a well-respected entrepreneur in his own right, set out to make a book with wise advice from some of the world's smartest people that would be useful to anyone looking for motivation. Need a little push to get you going? Plunge in to find some of the best advice. You'll learn about the one book that both Terry Crews and Jimmy Fallon love, the one self-investment that most mentors can't live without, and how forest bathing can be useful. People have different ideas about what it means to be successful, but most of us would agree that being known around the world as a leader or a mentor is a sign of a high level of success. So, the author talked to a number of well-known leaders and mentors to find out what habits successful people have. What did he find out? If you were asked to make a list of successful habits, you might not put reading at the top. However, the author found that for many leaders, books are a great way to get ideas. For example, the British journalist Matt Ridley loves The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins. His books on science and economics have sold millions of copies and been translated into more than 30 languages. Not only did Dawkins' book answer Ridley's most important question, what is life? But it also changed the way people write about science and think about evolution. Most of the time, the books that mentors love are ones that help them grow spiritually or in other ways. Jimmy Fallon, a talk show host, and Terry Crews, an actor and former NFL player, both like Viktor Frankl's book Man's Search for Meaning. Fallon thinks the book made him a better person, and Crews says it helps him remember what's really important in life. Dr. Brené Brown, a social scientist and TED Talk star, says that Harriet Lerner's book Why Won't You Apologize? Changed the way she apologizes. Then there's that famous book by Ayn Rand, The Fountainhead, which taught Wired magazine's founder, Kevin Kelly, how important it is to be independent, so much so that he quit school after reading it. The book The Beggar and the Secret of Happiness, a true story by Joel Ben as he taught Maria Sharapova a lot about happiness that she will never forget. Even books for kids can teach us things that can change our lives. Chris Anderson, who is in charge of TED Talks, will never forget how The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis sparked his imagination. And The Monster at the End of the Book by John Stone is still a touchstone for Jimmy Fallon when it comes to the important topic of bravery. Most of us have had at least one epic fail at some point in the past. Even though these setbacks can feel insurmountable, it's important to get up and keep going. But trying to learn from mistakes is even more important. Rick Rubin, who has produced a lot of records that won Grammy Awards, knows that success can change quickly. Masterpiece albums don't always do well, and albums that aren't that great can sometimes go platinum. Failure taught him that you can't control how people will react to your work. You can only do your best and stay true to your own standards. Failure can also push you to do something and make changes. After 15 years of getting rejection letters from publisher after publisher, Steven Pressfield decided he'd had enough. He packed up his typewriter and left New York for Hollywood, where he could focus on getting better at his craft. Pressfield did well in this new environment and sold screenplays like Joshua Tree, which came out in 1993. He then moved on to bigger and better things, like writing the screenplay for The Legend of Bagger Vance, which starred Robert Redford. In 2005, Leo Babauta felt like a complete failure. He was too fat, in debt, and hooked on fast food. In the same year, though, he focused all of his energy on making healthy habits, which he wrote about on Zen Habits, a blog that has helped more than 25 million people do the same. But maybe the best thing about failing is that it can free you up as an artist because it takes away the pressure of meeting expectations. When the Beastie Boys' second album, Paul's Boutique, didn't do well, the group could take a break from the public eye and focus on their music. 3 years later, they came out with Check Your Head, which was a commercial and artistic success. When you fail and learn from it, you won't be afraid of failing again. This will make it easier for you to take risks and look for real innovation. Patton Oswalt, a comedian who has won a Grammy Award, says that's why you should have your first failure. After failing, you can start to grow. You might think of the stock market when you hear the word investments, but an investment can mean a lot more than what happens on Wall Street. The best investment you can make as a mentor is one that moves your career forward. Kevin Kelly, who helped start Wired, says that the first $200 he put into his first business taught him much more than his master's degree in business. It also cost a lot less. That $200 bought him an ad in Rolling Stone magazine to promote a travel guide catalog that didn't even exist yet. But by bootstrapping, or using the money he made from the ad to help his business grow, he was able to make that catalog and get his foot in the door of publishing. Esther Perel, a therapist and relationship expert, put money into herself by learning 9 languages. Now she can speak fluently with people from all over the world, so it was a good investment. She's always able to find the right words to describe things like sex and relationships, which are hard to explain. Investing in other people can be one of the best things you can do. Jason Fried is the CEO of the software company Basecamp, which has made a lot of money by making it easier for people to communicate and manage projects. When he thinks about the best times in his life, he remembers the times he helped his friends without expecting anything in return. When one of his friends opened a new gym, he paid the rent for the first year, no questions asked. But investing in yourself is the most important thing you can do. Arianna Huffington, the founder of Huffington Post, took a break and put money into her own health after she passed out from exhaustion in 2007. She is sure that her future work and personal life will be better because of that choice. Mentors agree that meditation is one of the best things you can do for yourself. Rick Rubin, Jimmy Fallon, the historian Yuval Noah Harari, the Oscar-nominated director David Lynch, the chess master Adam Robinson, and the investor Ray Dalio are just a few of the people who meditate regularly. For each of them, meditation gives them personal insight, a sense of satisfaction, and a clearer mind. It also makes it easier to deal with problems. No matter how good you are, you can always get better, right? Well, the author was especially interested in how mentors help themselves get better. Rick Rubin and Neil Strauss, a best-selling author and journalist, have both found it helpful to make friends at the gym where they work out. Strauss says that he is always motivated and excited to work out because he looks forward to seeing the people he works out with. And since he was at his heaviest, Rubin has lost more than 100 pounds with the help of a good gym community. Others have found that getting better is often a matter of setting priorities. Jason Fried found a better balance in his life by cutting back on how often he worked out. He realized that exercise was becoming another habit for him, one that he used to make excuses for other bad habits, like not eating well or getting enough sleep. So he cut back, and now he's happier. Dr. Brené Brown thinks that everyone should put a high value on sleep. From what she's seen, getting enough sleep makes your life better more than any diet or exercise plan. Kevin Kelly has also seen how setting priorities can help. For him, it was important to learn how to give tasks to other people so that he only has to work on projects that really need his special skills. Another way to improve yourself is to learn how to look at things differently. Jana Levin teaches physics and astronomy at Barnard College. She used to think that obstacles were things that made it hard to live a happy life. But Levin has changed her mind and is happier now that she knows life is really just a series of problems that, if you face them calmly, give you the chance to learn and grow. Bear Grylls, a former member of the British Special Forces and the star of an Emmy-nominated survival show, decided that life was too short to worry about the future or wish he were somewhere else. Now, he enjoys living in the moment, whether he's at home with his feet up or in a swamp up to his waist. In the 1990s, the song Mo Money, Mo Problems by Notorious B.I.G. said, "The more money we find, the more problems we see." So, the author asked the mentors how they handle the problems that come with being successful. Many people agreed that you need to reset and get your bearings every now and then. Some mentors do this by going for regular walks, like Jason Fried and Aniela Gregorek, who has won the World Weightlifting Championship 5 times. Fried likes to go to places he's never been before, because focusing on something new helps him clear his mind. Gregorek likes to walk in the forest and talks about a Japanese practice called forest bathing that helps people feel better. This means letting the sounds, smells, and cool air of the forest wash over you and refresh your mind and body. Bozoma St. John, Uber's chief brand officer, likes to take naps. People's Choice Award-winning actor Ashton Kutcher suggests having sex. Psychologist and best-selling author Dr. Jim Lohr resets himself by thinking about all the things he has to be thankful for. But sometimes, when you already have a lot on your plate, you have to learn how to say no. Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks and Yuval Noah Harari are both well-known authors. They both have people in their lives who help them turn down all the requests to speak. But, of course, not everyone can pay someone else to say no for them. Neil Strauss now asks himself, am I only thinking about saying yes out of fear or guilt? When he has to give an answer. If this is true, he'll say no in a nice way. Kevin Kelly imagines that the invitation is for an event tomorrow morning when he has to make a decision. He'll say yes if he's still willing to go. But the millionaire businessman Gary Vaynerchuk says that sometimes saying no, even if you want to, isn't the best thing to do. To stay open to the many surprises that life has to offer, he will say yes 20% of the time, even if it doesn't seem worth it. If there's one question that mentors are often asked, it's something like, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out in their career? When the author asked this question, many of the mentors said that it's important to stay in the present moment and not worry about the future. Gary Vaynerchuk, a social media expert and trendsetting entrepreneur, says that people worry too much about where they'll be in 5 years while they drink and watch TV. The truth is that the future will take care of itself if you make the most of each day. Leo Babauta, a blogger for Zen Habits, says that uncertainty can be scary, but you shouldn't let it stop you. Instead, you should use it to get motivated and determined. If you don't, you're likely to put things off and miss out on opportunities. So, should you start your work life by doing what you love? Veronica Belmont, a podcaster and communications consultant, says that employers will likely respect your drive if they see that you worked hard on your passion before you had a job. In a similar way, legendary skateboarder Tony Hawk thinks that the only way to be truly successful is to live a life you love. But some mentors think that a more strategic approach is needed. Kevin Kelly says it's important to spend as much time as you need to learn a skill related to your passion. Once you've done this, you'll probably be able to choose from many jobs that pay you to use this skill. You don't have to worry if you don't know what your passion is. Yuval Noah Harari points out that we live in a world that changes very quickly, so your dream job now might not even exist in 10 or 20 years. So the best thing to do is to work on your emotional intelligence and become more resilient. This will help you keep your strength and balance when the future is uncertain. Once you choose a job, don't forget to say please and thank you, as Maria Sharapova suggests. No matter how successful someone is, no one likes someone who is rude. We've heard a lot of good advice, but maybe you want to know what the mentor's worst piece of advice was? Ed Cohn, who holds 71 weightlifting world records, says that people shouldn't try new techniques just because they're popular. Don't forget that there is a good reason to trust the basics that have stood the test of time. Mark Bell, who started the famous Super Training Gym in Sacramento, warns people not to try to do too much at once. You can end your career by trying too hard, like a weightlifter who always tries to lift the most. So work in your comfort zone and do what's best for you. Most people would agree that it's smart to stay away from advice that could make your work worse. When someone is just starting out in a creative field these days, they are often told how important it is to build buzz and grow their brand on social media. But this is not nearly as important as focusing on your craft, especially if you want to be happy with your work. Stephen Pressfield, who writes movies for Hollywood, can attest to how shallow the benefits of social media are. True happiness comes from putting a lot of effort into your work for a long time. If you put in the time, the rest should fall into place. Lewis Cantley, who was one of the first people to study cancer, thinks that bad advice is becoming more common these days. Scientists are often told not to share their results until they have been published in a scientific journal. Cantley, however, thinks there should be more teamwork and a willingness to share. Not only would this make science more fun, but it would probably also lead to more progress. But if you do have teammates, you should never just follow them blindly. Ray Dalio says that you shouldn't put money into a market just because other people are. Most likely, that market is getting too crowded and prices are going up, which means you'll probably pay too much. In the same way, experts in a field don't always give good advice. Scott Belsky, who helped start the social media platform Behance, thinks that outsiders like the people who started Airbnb and Uber are the ones who really change industries by breaking the rules. At one point, the author asked all the mentors to think about what advice they would give to everyone in the world if they could. Many of them asked people to treat each other with kindness. Mark Benioff, the CEO of Salesforce, is a generous person, and he would tell everyone to find out how they can help their local public school. This help doesn't have to come in the form of money. You could ask the school's principal if there's anything you can do to help. For example, you could be a mentor to students by telling them what you do for a living and showing them how they could do the same. Even small things that only take a few hours of your time can change the life of a student. Sam Harris is an author, philosopher, and neuroscientist. He would tell everyone to be more reasonable with other people. The best way for our species to move forward and face the challenges ahead is to talk to each other and share ideas. On the other hand, violence usually stops things from getting better. Other mentors tell us to do the best we can with what we have. Ray Dalio and Scott Belsky tell people to keep an open mind and look for opportunities that might not be obvious. Even though joining a struggling team might not seem appealing at first, it would probably be more fun than leading a successful one because there would be more room for change and surprises. But even chances like this aren't going to show up at your door by magic. You have to be ready and willing to jump on when the time is right. Which brings us to the last piece of advice: don't beat yourself up if you miss a good chance. Even though it may feel like it, it's not the end of the world or your chances. Remember what Leo Babauta said, "You are fine the way you are." Maria Sharapova says that you should try to be your own unique self and no one else. And don't let what other people say and do or a bunch of what-ifs tell you who you are. Be your own leader, and you might end up helping the next generation. There are more than one ways to be happy and successful in life. Advice from mentors, like reading more and investing in yourself, embracing failure, and saying no more often, can help you find inspiration and guidance no matter where you are on your own journey. What you should do to put what you've learned to use. Don't let distractions steal your attention. Even more valuable than your time is your attention, which is why everyone wants some of it. So keep your attention safe and use it wisely. Ariana Huffington often scrambles the apps on her phone by moving them around so that she has to stop and think about what she's doing when she tries to check them automatically. This gives her a chance to take a deep breath and change direction. Thanks for watching.